Hail Media presents Throwback Film Review, where we go back to the tape and relive some of the greatest moments in Michigan history. Throwback Film Review is brought to you by Olipop, the feel-good soda, Knight's Steakhouse, an Ann Arbor tradition, Valiant, supporting Michigan athletes and the Michigan community, and Michigan Medicine, leaders in healthcare, research, and innovation. Now, let's roll the tape and take it back.
Hey, this is Greg Dooley, and I'm real excited to bring another edition of Throwback Film Review to you. I teach the history of college athletics at Michigan. We just created an online course called The History of Michigan Football, 12 lectures, 7 hours of footage, hundreds of images. It covers the early part, way before the game we're going to talk about today, up to 1927. You can check out more at mvictors.com if you're interested in that. But we're talking about 1968, and this is really an interesting time period, not only in Michigan, but also college football history. So at Michigan, of course, this is Coach Bump Elliott's last season in Ann Arbor, sticks around a little bit, then goes off to a legendary career as an athletic director at Iowa. But this is Don Canham's first year as athletic director. And we are obviously on the brink of a huge change with, the big guy, Bo, coming in. And 68 is often forgotten really how good and talented not only this team was, but how well the season went. And there's probably a few reasons for that. And I think the guys are going to talk about that when we get into this. But this team was loaded. And on top of that, Bump brought in this wildly great recruiting class. So the idea that the cupboard was full when Bo got here is definitely true. So it's a rare case when you have a coach leaving and really things are in pretty good shape, but it's probably remembered for how the season ended. Yes, a triumph over Wisconsin. That's, of course, the famous Ron Johnson 347-yard game. But then the trip to Columbus, where we fought it out in the first half, but then absolutely throttled, lost 50-14 to Woody's powerhouse team. This is the famous I couldn't go for 3 game, which, by the way, is a myth. And maybe that's a story for another segment. But he never said that. There's no evidence of that, but you get it. But that all led to what came in 69, and these guys are responsible for that. And if you zoom out on college football at this time, I look at this as like a tectonic plate, right? That we're right on the edge of what football used to be, that small, non-integrated, right, limited substitution, low TV exposure football, and almost immediately thrust into this new era of large teams, integrated, right? We just recruited the Mellow Men at this time at Michigan, our first large black recruiting class. And suddenly you get TV contracts that get into the millions and we're off, right? So if I had to pick a more recent time to say we're right on the edge, I think it's about right here. This season, in this game, we face a really powerful Duffy Daugherty team. And for Michigan, I feel like this is about the time when, Ohio State and Michigan State are absolutely rivals, but we got to get over the hump with those great Duffy Daugherty teams, right? And the Biggie Munn teams before that. And they're winning national championships. So we got to get over the hump. So our focus a lot during this time period is on Michigan State, which leads us to this game. So huge thank you to the Bentley Historical Library, Jay Winkler, of course, Hail Media, my brothers at FAM. And without further ado, let's head back October 12th. 1968, as we face the Spartans in this edition of Throwback Film Review with Jim Scarcelli, with special guests Dennis Brown and George Hoey. Go Blue.
Hey, welcome. Hail Media, the Michigan Football Throwback Series. We're on our 4th episode, and it's been going great, and we're having fun with it, bringing old legends back. And before I get going with the old legends, we got to do our little business real quick. Olipop is a proud sponsor of Hail Media, and I've tried it. I love it. I take it before I go to the gym. It tastes great, and it's way less sugar. So Olipop, check it out. We love it at Hail Media. And one other thing, Knight's Steakhouse in Ann Arbor. They are another sponsor of Hail Media, and they've been around forever. But I have two great Michigan legends with us today here. George Hoey is here from Colorado. George was a defensive back, and he worked in the academic part when I was here. George, how you doing today?
I'm doing fairly well for an old guy, you know.
And then we got the quarterback on that 1968 team. So if I didn't say it, this is the 1968 review throwback. Coach Brown, we got Denny Brown from Lincoln Park. Denny, how you doing today?
I'm doing good, Jim. Thank you. And great, George, great to see you, partner.
Same here, Denny.
So, who am I to introduce you guys? You guys know each other. You know what, George, why don't you just tell me who the heck is Denny Brown? You guys came in together as freshmen. You know each other well. Who is Denny Brown? Tell me about him.
If I had to describe Denny Brown, I mean, he came into Michigan, just hell-bent for leather. I mean, he was on fire. He wanted to play, and he was going to find a way to get on the field. And he was the field general when he was on the field. I sometimes think during those days, we had a pretty open offense. And I went to Michigan as a running back, so I was trying to find my way in, but switched to DB, Denny Brown, switched to defensive back in a very short period of time. But when I watched Denny play, Denny was, we had an option play in the offense, and the only option for Denny was to turn it up. Because he was looking for a seam in that line, and he was going to take the field and just get upfield, get some yards, do some damage. But coming from Lincoln Park, coming from Flint, very different atmospheres, but we managed to get along quite well over the years. And as you can tell, we still maintain a relationship. So I appreciate that very much.
Coach Brown, tell me about your teammate, George Hoey.
George Huey, as I told you guys before we got on, one of the nicest people that you'll ever meet. Humble, great athlete, track guy, football guy. And as I told you, he ran the first 4.340 that I ever saw. And like I told you, it looked like he was just gliding over the surface. But on the field, off the field, gentleman, nice guy, very disciplined. We got along smashingly from the very get-go. I don't know what the chemistry was there, but we latched on together and did our thing. And it was wonderful to see the success that he had after we graduated and went on to do all of his academic stuff and his stint in the NFL and and has maintained that humble, solid, really good guy.
Yeah. So if those of you that don't know, my name is Jim Scarcelli, and I played 81 to 85 at Michigan for Schembechler. But I had experiences with both of the gentlemen here today. In the first, I was a junior in high school, 1979, and everybody went to the Michigan football camp. You wanted to get discovered. You wanted to get coached. And I thought there were maybe up to 2,000 people there. And I'm an outside backer, and I'm just a clueless little kid from Warren, Michigan. And the guy coaching the outside backers for Michigan was a guy named Dennis Brown. And I just remembered a fired up, enthusiastic, take charge. You were coaching us up. You were coaching up the kids that ain't never barely going to make their high school team, like you were coaching the guys that were going to get recruited. And I just I told myself when I left that camp, man, I want to play for this guy. It was like a goal. I want to play for this fired up dude, Denny Brown. So, Coach, you were an impact on me, and you never would have known it.
Well, I appreciate that, Jim. That's nice. Good to hear. Thank you,
George. You were the academic guy that helped with a lot of. You had a whole bunch of people under you, so people should understand that George Hoey had a lot of responsibilities. And George, I don't want to list all of them, but all I know this is what I know about George Hoey. George, I didn't even know you were such a great player until I started researching you for this thing that you played in the NFL. I just thought you were this nice guy that helped us out, that cared about us, that made sure we were on a path to graduate. And it was obvious you cared about us. So both of you guys. I had an experience with both of you, and I love both of you guys, and that's where we're at. So, Coach, that was my experience with both of you. Coach Brown,
Thank
how
you.
and why did you end up in Ann Arbor?
Oh, you don't even want to know that one. I'll tell you the honest truth. Okay. I was pretty heavily recruited, particularly for a little guy. And I was not going to leave the state of Michigan. I had an older brother that was a running back and went to Arizona State and just, didn't stay but a semester. So anyway, it's getting time to make a decision. And we had until April back at that time, George, you'll remember. And as a coach recruiting into April, I mean, that was, it was a long time. But anyway, so Coach Daugherty called me on the phone one night. And he said, well, Dennis, it's getting time to start making a decision. And what do you think? What are your leanings? What are you going to do? And I was being very honest. And I said, Coach, I'm really, really excited about my opportunity to come to Michigan State. But I really like Michigan. He hung up on me. And my dad was in the living room reading the newspaper. And I went and I said, hey, Dad, Coach Daugherty just hung up on me on the phone. So I'm glad. Yeah, cold, man. So I'm glad I got a chance to redeem myself and wind up in Ann Arbor. But that was I fell in love with Bump Elliott and Bob Holloway. My weekend there, Frank Nunley and Rick Volk they were part of the group. Don Bailey, God rest his soul. Him and Vidmer took the whole class on one of my recruiting visits, because we could visit anytime we wanted to. But we went to the show down at the Michigan Theater, the State Theater, and they had us doing the goose step all the way down State Street. Bailey was in the back and Vidmer was in the front, and it was snowing, and we just had a hell of a time. So that's my story. I'm sticking to it.
George, how about you? You came from Flint. How'd you end up in Ann Arbor?
That's a good question, but it turned out to be a pretty easy decision when all was said and done, because in Flint, the pipeline to go to college for a football player was to East Lansing. I mean, all the great players out of Flint Northern, Flint Central, when they were getting recruited and signing those letters of intent, they were going to Michigan State. And I didn't find out until, goodness, years later, that I was the first African-American football player from Flint to get a full scholarship. But I was recruited, say heavily, probably was being recruited somewhat heavily, but I reduced the number in a short period of time. And I took visits down to Purdue, Michigan State. The academies wanted me to come, and I couldn't see myself in that kind of a uniform, so I just shut that down. But I remember talking to Bump on my visit, and Bump said to me, George, we want you to come to Michigan because your high school coach, Bob Leach, was a Michigan man with his twin brother, Dick Leach. And the dentist of our high school football team, Dr. Beebe, was also a Michigan grad. And I talked to Bump, and he said, we have two pretty good running backs in Carl Ward and Jim Detweiler, and freshmen couldn't play then. He says, so you may not see the field as a running back until your junior year. But one thing I can promise you a full scholarship to the University of Michigan, and you will have an opportunity to get a degree from the University of Michigan. And I said, I'm in. And after that conversation, I received this one call I remember particularly from Missouri, Dan Devine. And he says, George, this is Coach Devine down in Missouri. How you doing? I said, I'm doing fine, Coach. How are you? He says, I'm just calling because I want you to come down and take a visit. And I said, Coach, I just met with Bump Elliott, and I'm going to Michigan. I said, so I don't want to come down and take this visit just to waste your time and my time because I know where I'm going. And he says, well, Michigan's a fine school, and you can't go wrong there. But let me tell you this. If you ever have any issues being in Michigan and you're looking for another home, you always have a home down here in Missouri. So good luck to you, and we'll go from there. I said, thanks, Coach. See you later. So my days in Michigan, and I had an older brother who was on a partial track scholarship at Michigan. He was 2 years ahead of me, and that was also an influence, but not a great influence. I'd say mostly it was to my high school coach and team dentist. Team dentist wanted me to go to Michigan and become a dentist, and I thought, we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. That never happened.
Yeah. Well, hey, Jim, let me throw something out here that is kind of like George knows, is the elephant in the room. George was part of one of the, maybe at the time, the largest group of black football players to come into the University of Michigan. Am I right, George?
Yep.
And I think what needs to be said, and it's a sad commentary, and there is a great ex-player at Michigan by the name of Mike Bass, who can speak to this to a degree that it's heartbreaking. But Michigan was way behind with recruiting black athletes for football. And there was a reason for it. And I found out the reason talking to Mike Bass a year ago. But we're not going to cover that here. But I just want to tell you, and I want to tell George, I love you. You are a great friend of mine still. We bonded at Michigan, and I am so glad that I was part of that class that brought in these outstanding black athletes to the program. And George and I can name them because I can name most of them right now. But anyway, yeah. When he says,
I had Mike on a couple of weeks ago with the 64. You guys, people want to listen to that, and Michigan State gets all this recognition as Duffy brought all these guys in from the South, but Michigan, the Bass group there was like 9-10 guys. There was a lot of guys in that group that did a lot of the same things, and I just thought that was interesting that Mike brought that up. So you guys are recruited. Michigan just wins the Big Ten championship. They just win the Rose Bowl. The team, the 64 champs, they win the Rose Bowl, and you guys are recruited and you're committed. What are your memories? Danny, I'll start with you on this one. What are your memories of the first training camp or coming in, the summer coming in? Any stories there? Your first training camp?
Not really. No, the freshmen weren't eligible. We played in the toilet bowl on Mondays. Played against the guys that didn't get a lot of time in on Saturday. But it was just, you're learning a new system. You're going to class. I don't know how freshmen do it, to be honest with you. I don't know. When I was coaching, I didn't know how they did it. And I remember starting a freshman middle linebacker when I was at West Virginia. But anyway, make a long story short, I got to tell this story about George and I. So Dennis Fitzgerald was our freshman coach, and we come off the practice field one day, and the facilities were awful, just awful. But anyway, we're walking into our locker room, and he had a little locker room off to the side where he could shut the doors. He says to me and George, "Hey, let me see you two guys." I know George remembers this. So we walk in, and I'm not the biggest guy that they recruited, and I was probably the shortest. I probably had a couple of pounds on George, but George was the tallest of he and I, of the little guys. So he closes the door. Fitzgerald says, he says, "Now look, we've got a newspaper here on campus called the Michigan Daily, and they're going to come down and want to interview you guys." And he said to me, "Don't you tell them how tall you are." And he looks at George. He says, "Don't tell them how much you weigh." That's the truth. May the Lord strike me dead.
Absolutely.
George, you got a memory of what it was like coming in? You're, coming from high school, and here you are with, this team that just won the Big Ten championship.
And the thing that stands out for me is not so much on the practice field, but just finding out who my roommate was. And I'm coming into Michigan, and I'm all state, and I'm all this, and I'm all that, Saginaw Valley. I thought, okay, so I don't know who my roommate is. I don't know how the assignments are made. So I show up at South Quad and throw my stuff in the room, and there's this guy already in the room, and he says, "My name is Ron Johnson, and I'm from Detroit Northwestern." And I said, "Oh, good to meet you, Ron. George Hoey, Flint Central." And who would know that we were both competing at running back to try and get some playing time. And I tell the story that, and this is not talking about freshman year and camp and so forth, but, you know, as it played out, Ron went on as become that great person and player on
Yep.
offense, and I went to defense. And sometimes I'm asked the question, "How did you end up on defense?" And I just say, my roommate was Ron Johnson.
That'll do it. That'll do it.
Every time.
Hey, Denny, you shared something that was interesting that I can't even relate to it. That you said when guys came in, they would be taught an offensive position and a defensive position. In today's football, you really that wouldn't happen. Go through that real quick.
Well, because freshmen weren't eligible, they wanted to evaluate what they thought you would be better at. So that freshman spring, George will tell you, we split the spring ball on offense for a couple weeks, and then on defense for a couple weeks, and then they put us in a position. And I think George came back as a running back our sophomore year originally, because I remember our freshman backfield was one running back, Ron Johnson was the other running back. And when I ran the option, I wouldn't pitch the ball to either one of them. And but anyway, George wound up over on defense. And I mean, he returned kicks, he intercepted passes. He did it all. And, he was a guy that, every time the ball was kicked to him, you had no idea if he was going to take it to the house or what he was going to do with it. But he was special. There's no question. He wound up exactly where he was supposed to.
George, you got any thoughts about that play? That's how it was. Everybody was a two-position guy, and that's how they taught it. I want to go over this real quick, just to get an idea of your teammates. I thought it was real. Can you guys, George, can you see the roster?
I can see it, yeah.
Okay, Danny, you got me?
I got you.
Okay. I see this freshman group.
Yep.
When you guys were seniors, there's like 50 dudes. A lot of really great players there. That's one thing. And then there's, but anyway, just looking at the recruiting, I guess I brought this up just to get an idea of where the recruiting was. And these are the freshmen when you guys are seniors. You see Michigan, little New Jersey, Ohio, Michigan, Ohio. Here's in Illinois, but look, all Michigan, Illinois, Michigan, Ohio.
Yep.
And as we get into the varsity guys now, the guys that have been around, it's Michigan, Ohio, just a ton of Michigan. I just wanted to go over that real quick and let you guys comment on. That's kind of what it was Michigan, Ohio, a little Illinois, a little Indiana, every now and then, maybe a little Texas. I didn't really see any Florida at that time. Any thoughts on that?
Well, I'm not sure that Michigan was interested very much in going outside that quad state. They had great success in the Chicago Catholic League. Yep. I remember one time in the 70s when I was there, the entire tackle to tackle was Chicago Catholic League. I mean, they just had, Chicago's a great alumni feeder. And so I think they were basically, if you want to, they had no choice, because they were not going to be able to continue to win the Big Ten championship with just Michigan and Ohio kids on the roster.
Okay.
That's my opinion.
We're going to get on the film here in a minute, but, I did 5 years at Michigan. If you said, okay, who are guys, you guys did 4, you guys just did 4, right, each of you?
Yeah, right.
Okay. It said, okay, George, who are the guys that you say, man, I just respected the heck? I know I could list a lot. I know this is maybe a tricky question. Who are guys that you say, man, that guy, I just respected him? Guys that might have been older than you, that you learned from. I know you talked about Mike Bass. I read something you said. Who are guys when you say, man, that was a mentor to me, maybe as a coach or a player?
Ooh. Two people come out, one player and one coach. And I didn't play with him that much as an undergraduate, John Rouser. And Rouser has passed on. But he was in that backfield with Seeger, Volk, and Bass. And those guys, I mean, they had pro careers. But Rouser and I also connected later in the NFL when we were in Denver together. But in terms of football knowledge, being disciplined, understanding the game, I think he took, for me anyway, the game of playing defensive back to another level. I think he and Don James were the ones who gave me my defensive football acumen. And each one of them used to say that if you're on defense and you're playing, you need to know what every person on the defense is doing on every assignment, on every play. And I took it to heart. I thought, they wouldn't tell me that just for kicks. So I started to learn defense that way. And I knew if a linebacker had a drop out or drop back, or if he was going to look for the curl, we were talking. And I felt comfortable doing that. And I think that's probably why, given my height, given my size, why I was able to succeed the way I did, even at the next level. It's because those individuals taught me what I knew about football and how to be a better player at that. The other thing, too, when I think about what Dennis was talking about earlier, playing both two positions, offense, defense, and look at our secondary senior year. You look at Tom Curtis, look at Brian Healy, you look at Barry Pearson. And I mean, former high school quarterbacks,
Yep.
and
One of 'em.
playing in the
Yep.
secondary. And talk about getting some more education. I mean, those guys knew what routes were going to be run, who was going to be coming in or running an out route, who was going to run the curl, who could jump on this, jump on that. And that was that was just like, that's just a bonus. So that part of the game I love. But yeah, those two, one coach, Don James, and player, John Rouser, they were the ones who I think impacted me greatest.
Coach Brown, how about you? Who are some mentors that you saw?
Well, as I mentioned to you before we got started here, George Mans was a great mentor to me. He was handling the passing game our senior year. But other than that, or besides that, he would take me off to the side and I would meet with him after practice and so on and so forth. So I would have to say as a coach, it would be George Mans. Bump obviously had a great influence on all of us. He was such a gentleman. And you wanted to play for Bump. You wanted to play for Bump. And then when I look at a couple of guys that didn't have to be nice to this guy. They had no reason to be nice to this little guy. It was Rick Volk, Frank Nunley, and Tom Parkhill. Those three guys were all 2 years ahead of us, and they treated me like a human being, like that. When I look at our team, our class, George absolutely stands out, but a guy that stands out more than I think about, and he's no longer with us, is Tom Stensick. Tom Stensick was the guy that said very little. And then when he got the gear on, he would tear your head off. And he went on to play in the National Football League for Dallas for a number of years. And unfortunately, he's no longer with us. But I did have the opportunity to see him a couple times when I was living in Arizona, and he was coaching at one of the local high schools out there. But he passed away 2 or 3 years ago. But there's a lot of guys on our roster that stand out to me, and they're not necessarily offensive guys other than RJ. But I look at Stensick particularly, and I look at John Kramer, an outside backer, and I look at that secondary, and another guy was Tom Goss. Speaking of 5-year guys, Tom Goss was a 5-year guy.
Yep.
And he wound up being a defensive tackle for us, and you know what he's done. He's gone on to be a terrific guy, and unfortunately, things didn't work out for him as AD at Michigan, and it was unfortunate for me because I was an assistant AD under him. But just I look at this roster here, and I mean, I mentioned some guys to you, and I'm taking up all the time, but just a plethora of guys that when I look at this. George, I just happened to find the Michigan State program, and we're throwing shit out, and it just happened to pop up. So I've been going through it. But yeah, I mean, I look at it, and man, some of these guys are doctors and lawyers, and just doing great things.
Yep.
As a lot of Michigan people do when they attend the University of Michigan.
Could you guys see the this little handout I got up here, the 1968 football team? Can you see it?
You're testing my vision. I can see it.
Okay, well, you know what? I'm just going to ask you. Okay, William Dodd. It's got the assistant coaches listed here. I just want to get some quick thoughts. William Dodd, who was he? What did he coach?
I believe Bill Dodd was the freshman coach.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he came in and was only here a couple years, and then he left to go on to leave. He became an executive with Levi.
How about Dennis Fitzgerald? What did he coach?
D-line.
D-line.
Any stories about any of these guys? Feel free. So he coached the D-line, Dennis Fitzgerald.
Dennis Fitzgerald coached the D-line. He wound up coaching in the NFL with the Pittsburgh Steelers. And when I was at West Virginia, I brought him down for a day to work us through what he knew. And he was a very interesting guy, very interesting guy, but a great Michigan guy. He was an All-American wrestler. I think he actually coached a wrestling team at one point in time. George, maybe you probably can solidify that for me. But he tough guy. Oh, I mean, I think he won the Pan Am Games in wrestling. He was a tough bastard, boy. Tough guy.
But he was also referred to in small circles as he's crazy, man. This guy is nuts. But I tell you, talk about being motivated and dedicated. That was him. I mean, he was all in all the time. Good man.
How about Henry Fondy?
Hank Fondy? Yeah.
What did he coach?
Hank coached the running backs and then the secondary at one point. Man. So he was my coach a couple of different ways, and from Ann Arbor, and just a quiet, sort of unassuming kind of guy, but he was just finding his place in the rotation of coaches and knew some strategies and techniques, but I can't say that he got maybe all the respect that he deserves. But
I agree.
But clearly, he had a role to play, and it was an effective role that he played in just getting us aligned and ready to play the game.
Yeah, he had a favorite saying. I had him for a year. His favorite saying was, "Take the cash and let the credit go." That was his big thing.
How about Frank Maloney?
Pink thing. George, I actually coached with Frank. And he was a Chicago Catholic League coach, came in, and he coached the offensive line, and then he went over to defense. And he was a teammate of George Mann's, and he was a very quiet guy. He, from what I understand, and I know I was with him when he was a defensive coach, defensive line coach. He was very, very thorough and knew his stuff.
Okay, you talked about. Go ahead, George. Sorry.
He sort of came off as sort of an academic on the football field, and just not necessarily suave, but definitely someone who was sort of an intellectual football coach.
Yeah, he went on to be the head coach at Syracuse.
Good point.
Yeah, I got recruited by him. I remember getting letters from him. I didn't visit there, but okay. Then you mentioned George Mann, Downriver Trenton guy. George, do you have any interaction with George Mann's?
Not much. I mean, he was just an influence in terms of being on the field and just having a demeanor that meant, you know what, you can be on the football field, you can tear people apart, but you can still have fun. So he just left that impression on me that this is a game that can be all-encompassing. You can be out, just giving it your all. But, hey, when all's said and done, we're also here to play a fun game.
Yeah, interesting story. I've got a ton of them because I coach with some of these guys. But anyway, George wound up being a captain at Michigan and being down from the Trenton area. But I coached with him and we would talk. And he was telling me one time that the only reason he got a chance to start at Michigan was that Bill Freehand decided not to play football. He decided that he was going to be a catcher. So anyway, that's how he wound up being an outside linebacker. But a real quick comment. George was a guy, he was different in a lot of ways. But anyway, we showed up for a meeting one morning, and George wasn't there. And Bo says, "Where's George? How come George isn't here?" And I think Frank said, "Well, he's sick." And Bo said, "He's what? Sick? What the hell are you talking about? He's sick." And then in the next breath, he says, "You know what? I wouldn't want to play for George. He's a tough son of a bitch."
Oh, okay. How about Mason? Was it Tony Mason?
Tony Mason?
Me. You're talking about me.
What kind of coach was? Mason was offensive line?
Yep. Flamboyant to the nth degree. And yeah, like Denny was saying, it's about me. Oh man, Tony Mason. I mean, he kept things moving. He kept things alive. He kept things vibrant. I mean, I can remember one day on the field, and I can't remember if it was the Michigan State game our senior year or our junior year, but it had started to rain at the beginning of practice, and it turned into a thunderstorm. And folks are looking around trying to figure out, are we going to stay on the field or what's going to happen? And there was a big stroke of lightning and then a boom of thunder. And Tony says to the team, Bubba Smith, don't take it out on us. We're just trying to get ready to play a football game. Quiet down, Bubba. But he would just throw out expressions like that. And I mean, obviously here, how many years later, decades later, I'm still remembering that. But Tony Mason was having that kind of effect. And he had a definite presence on the football team.
Yep, he did. He was something.
Okay, so we're going to get at the film here in a minute. So this 67 season ends. And I read somewhere where there was some bump language out there in the media. Was Bump catching heat after the 67 year?
He was catching heat during the year.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, he was. It was getting hot for Coach. It really was.
Okay, so the mindset going into I'm gonna start the film here, guys. I think we're ready to. We can talk. We can look at film. I got questions. You guys can pipe in, and we'll go through film as we're asking questions. But I just got a couple guys. I got everybody that played. Hopefully marked at least once. And you guys can just give some comments. So Dan Dierdorf is your right tackle, 72, and then Jerry Imslin is your tight end here. Go ahead, Danny. You go first on playing with Dierdorf and Imslin.
Well, Jerry had great hands. He had great hands. And, Dierdorf was one of the bigger guys that we had. He was a sophomore, about 255, I think. And that was, the guy playing next to him, Stan Broadnax. I don't think Stan was 225 or 230. Maybe, George, you would know.
He's about 225, yep.
Yeah, and then he wound up playing next to a guy by the name of Dick Calderazzo that was probably 215, 220. Yeah. But anyway.
Okay, so Emslin, he could obviously you played for Michigan here. You got a block, and he had some good hands. So a lot of straight ahead stuff here, a lot of isolation. That looks like that was one of your favorite plays, huh, Coach Brown?
Well, yeah, it was. And I was telling George that we got real fancy there, man. We shifted from the eye to split backs.
Yeah.
But Ron was the lead back on that last play and had a nice block. And I think that was Garvey that went in there with that. You're right. I'm only
going to point that out that you got the great running back, and he's not like you're saying, Coach. He's not afraid to get in there and block.
Oh no, he's a tough kid.
Yeah.
Yeah, he put the hat on you.
Yeah.
All right. A little shift here. Now, how about your? You got Mandich and
Bobby Pinksa.
Pinksa. Okay. So any thoughts on Mandich? George, go ahead. What are your thoughts on Mandich?
Oh, go ahead, George. You had to defend him. Not really on the outside, but you can. I think he caught about 60 of my passes.
Yeah. I mean, talk about being able to get open and he just was deceptive. You look at him and you think this big slow guy, but he could run past you too, and he could catch the rock.
Yeah, he was a tough guy too. And one of our favorite plays with him was we ran an option route with him. And we would read the inside backer. Here we go. This is the Denny Brown sweep.
Hey, Coach, let me ask you guys this. And when you were in high school, were a lot of people running option like this, or is this something that came in the late 60s? The option like this?
Yeah, we didn't run any option. This is the old speed option that we ran, and we just started running that when we came in to Michigan.
So like George said, when they call option, Denny's running the ball, right, George? Pitches.
Yeah,
there it is.
You know, Jimmy, you coached us. I'm reading that outside backer.
I know you do. You do a good job there, Coach.
I should have pitched it, but I like to run the ball.
Yeah. You do.
All right, here's double tight end, little shift.
Look at that shift.
George, talk about Broadnax, your right guard here.
Oh, Stan, he was one of those intellectuals on the field, but he would crush you if you got in his way. He just loved the game, and he was always trying to improve. And even though, as we said, he was only 2.25, but he just blocked.
Hey, Jim, run that back. Run that. I'm sorry, George. I just want to point something out to these young guys. You see this center here?
Yeah.
That's Dave Denson from Xenia, Ohio. He wound up being an orthopedic surgeon.
Yes.
And when you go back, Stan Broadnax, wasn't he like the head doctor for the whole Cincinnati or something?
Medical examiner. Yep.
Yeah. So you got two doctors here side by side.
There. Smart guys. Talk about the center, Coach Brown, Danny.
Well, Dave Denson, like I say, from Xenia, Ohio, smart guy, wound up being just an outstanding guy. Very typical lineman, quiet. God, he was quiet. He hardly said a word. I had an English class with him, and he never said anything.
Watch this.
Yeah, take that inside route.
Yeah.
All right, George, that was your roommate?
He was my roommate for 4 years. Yeah. Ron, I mean, even though he was at the time a big back, so to speak, but Ron he just amazed me. He could run a 4.7 40 in shorts or in full uniform. And you figure, what? How can you do that? But that's the kind of strength he had and the kind of speed he had and the size that he had. Just an amazing athlete, an amazing person.
Yeah, I think that that last thing, George, is that he was, I think he was valedictorian of his class coming out of high school. George, you can correct me.
Mm-hmm.
And then he went over to the business school, and he was in like the top 10% of the business school.
Yep.
And then when he went to play professional football, and he got out, he was on Wall Street, and he got companies, and I mean, he's in the New Jersey Athletic Hall of Fame. He's in the Michigan Hall of Fame. And I mean, wow. Yeah, we were very lucky to have him as a teammate.
Henry Hill, he's a pretty good player here. Your nose guard.
Henry Hill, yeah. I think he was a sophomore here in '68.
Yeah.
All right, so let me ask you guys then, playing this football game, Bo would go over, okay, we knew Michigan State mattered, Ohio State. Now, what kind of emphasis was put on this game? Being a Michigan football player in 1968, playing Michigan State. What?
Go ahead, George. You start because you did the Flint thing, and then I'll jump in.
Well, I think that's what stands out for me. And I don't believe the coaches had to do very much to motivate me because, as I said before, just coming out of Flint and going a different route than the typical great and good football players. I'm not great. I can't say that about myself. But anyway, just that pipeline going to MSU, I just felt this game is one where you're going to have bragging rights for life. And you better get up for it. You better get ready to play ball. And that's what motivated me for this game, just to get out there and I couldn't take a loss. A loss. Wasn't in the frame at all.
Yeah. Well, one of the things I remember specifically about this 68 game was prior to that, it was always just we did special things in practice and we we may have played the game on Tuesday and Wednesday, but I remember going into this game, the coaches just kind of, it's just another game, guys. Let's go out and play ball, and we did. And see this guy up here,
Which guy?
right here. I think that's
Sorry,
Brian Healy.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he's a doctor.
Wow. Yeah, guys, I played in the early 80s, and, I started 2 years, and there was one team, one game where the opponent actually opened his mouth and started talking junk.
Oh, yeah.
And it was never the Buckeyes, never the Boiler. It was these guys.
Yes.
It's the only team that ever opened their mouth. I mean, there's 100,000 people here. I'm worried about my adjustments, my technique, I'm reading. I ain't got time to talk, but that was the only team where guys talked. I just thought that was,
Well, no, it's true. George, did you go to that after the '68 season? A bunch of us all went up to Michigan State, and we met a bunch of those guys up there, and we all had dates and all that stuff. Were you involved with that?
Oh man, you're testing my memory now for this old dude.
Well, what I remember about that is a lot of those guys, we were recruited and actually went on visits at the same time. And I remember telling my date, who I think I don't think I was married at the time. I told my wife, those guys now are not the same guys they were when we were recruited. Now, I know everybody matures and everybody but I mean, these guys were just, they thought their shit didn't stink,
Yeah.
man. They sat back and acted like, yeah.
All right, let's look at some plays real quick because I see 12 in. George, one thing I watched, I probably watched 5, 6 of your games this year from this team, this '68 team. George, you never let the ball outside the defense, man. And you had some good outside backers. Here's 97 more, and then George, you're the corner down here, keeping the ball inside the defense, run support, or making a tackle here.
Turn it back inside.
That's right. I never saw the ball get outside of you. I didn't see it getting thrown over your head. I didn't realize. I just knew Tom Goss was the athletic director. I played with Tom Goss's brother, Greg.
Greg.
Yeah, but he's Tom Goss is all over this field. 65 here.
Just a good old Southern guy, that Tom Goss.
Yeah, they went down to Tennessee and got him.
Yeah.
Anything you guys want to see? There's some plays that are missed. They obviously scored there. Anything you guys want to just jump in on? I got to ask this question as we look at some more plays. Okay, so I was a kid, 1968. A lot of things going on around the country. There was a riot in Detroit. You got a lot of Detroit guys on the team. How did Bump handle? Did you guys feel? Was it anything going? Was there anything that divided your team with the riots going on in Detroit and around the country?
Go ahead, George. Speak up.
No, I think, with Bump's leadership, Bump was always the person who was going to just try and keep things even keel. And he just told us with our demeanor that, we just are there to represent ourselves, represent the football team, represent the University of Michigan. And though there was a lot of chaos going and a lot of hatred being spewed, don't give in to that. Just maintain who you are, be well-disciplined, and take care of yourself, take care of your family, be there for others. But you don't have to get involved in the melee.
What I remember, George, is we had a meeting outside, inside the big wall that came out of Yost Fieldhouse. Remember, they had set up a couple benches there where we would do leg lifts. Remember Fitz did that.
Yep.
But anyway, we called off a practice or two, or maybe I forget how long it was, because we had so many Detroit guys, and Bump wanted the guys from Detroit to go and be with their families, protect their property, do whatever they had to do. And I remember RJ saying after the riots and everything were over that he actually sat on his front porch and he may have had a weapon or two to protect his house. And Bump was very cognizant of that situation, as we were as young guys. And I do remember him calling off a practice or two, and you Detroit guys or whoever you guys go take care of your families. I do remember that.
Well, here's Dan Parks. Big, you got two good inside tackles here, Goss and Parks. You know, one thing I noticed, guys, is there's not much rotation going on. You know, now we hear about rotations.
Right.
These guys didn't really leave the field.
Yeah. I don't know that they did that. And Danny Parks was a really good young player. And there's Cecil Pryor. I think that was Cecil.
Cecil's right here.
Yep.
Yeah, there's
Tommy. I got everybody that played in this game, circled. So this is talk about your linebacker. You did talk about him, and he ended up playing in the NFL. Stinsick, right?
Yeah, he played for Dallas. Yeah, he's he would light you up big time. He just
you guys are running a 6-1 look. This was
I think it's a 4-3, Jimmy, is what it is.
Okay.
And these guys are
dropping. Yeah, however you want to work it.
Yeah.
Whatever you want to call it, but
yeah. Yeah, there's Tommy throwing his body around. Yeah.
Yep, he would get to the ball.
And number 12, he ain't afraid to come up and tackle. This guy right here.
Yeah, we know him.
George, you never did coach though, right, George?
I did not. I mean, I love the game so much. Actually, when I was getting my degree from Michigan, from the School of Education, I thought I was going to end up going back to Flint teaching and coaching for who knows how long. That's how I saw my future. I wasn't thinking about the NFL necessarily. I just knew I loved the game and just wanted to be a part of it at some level. But yeah, thought I was going to go back to Flint and teach and coach.
Yeah, you had two good outside backers, Ed Moore, 97, and
97. And he was not a big guy. Eddie Moore was not a big guy, but he was tough. And then Seymour was tall, rangy, and tough. Good job there.
So, Michigan State now, at this time, though, they had the great teams in 65 and 66.
Right.
And you can see they got big players. They got good players. You can see this is
they've got good players. And, Duffy with his clinics, this guy here is from Hawaii. That's one of his Hawaiian guys.
Oh, is that a Pisa?
No, Pisa was a kicker. Okay. This young guy here was a quarterback coming in, and they moved him to running back. I wish I could remember his name. It's right on the tip of my tongue, but unfortunately, he's no longer with us. Matter of fact, they did a TV movie about him. He had one of those diseases where your body just goes away.
Here's Hill making another play.
Yeah.
Okay, so Coach, you guys would call it a 4-3, but you got those outside backers close to the line of scrimmage.
Yeah.
And this hasn't changed. This punt
I think
protection.
it got them a little closer to their drops if they were going to drop.
Yeah.
I really didn't obviously pay a whole lot of attention to what was going on over there on the other side of the ball, and I'm sure vice versa. Of course, we knew all of our teammates. And is that you in the middle, George?
That would be me, yes.
Yeah, okay. All right. But anyway, I think in my mind, I remember this week we treated it like another game. We didn't do all that stuff where we were, painting our helmets green and, doing all that stuff. We just decided we were going to get after it,
Yeah.
Uh-oh,
sometimes with those big games, you get too emotional. It just, wasted energy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there's no question about it. Uh-oh, he's throwing the ball. Oh, nice throw. Nice throw, Dennis.
Yeah, well said.
I threw more of those than I did the other ones.
All right, I got a question. So that was part of the offense. Kind of looks like it might be looking to throw, but you're just looking to run here. Am I right, or is that a run pass option?
That was a run pass option, I'm sure, but you noticed right away it went to my left hand to keep that ball away from the defense. So this might have been a tear sweep. That was in our I'm sure it was a tear sweep.
Okay, so you guys are. I think it's tied right now. Oh, I think this is Gabler. You throw it. I can't really. This Gabler down here.
John Howard Gabler. It could be, yes, number 18.
You throw a beautiful pass here. So you guys score 7-7, and you throw just a dime here.
You know, his brother was a quarterback at Michigan.
Gabler.
Yeah, Wally Gabler.
Wally.
Yeah, Wally was the quarterback our freshman year in '65.
Okay.
And then I know he went into Canada and played in Canada for a few years.
Yeah, you give this guy a little time and protection, he'll throw a dime right there for you.
Really?
Yeah, I seriously, I could. Howard throws it in the stands. Way to go, Howard! But anyway, Howard was very flamboyant, to say the least. He always managed to miss Monday's practice somehow. I don't know how he did that.
All right, so let me ask you guys now. The 67. I just want to get an idea what the calendar year was like. So you lose to Ohio. I think you lost to Ohio State that year, and
yeah, we did at home.
Are there any What are the commitments in the winter? Is everything optional?
Oh no.
So you guys are in 68 now. You guys have strength training commitments, so some winter conditioning responsibilities.
Oh sure, yeah, and we had such great facilities. We used to remember, George. We had that little band building over there where we did our conditioning, and there was no showers, I think, and it was. Let me tell you what, they didn't spend any money on facilities, buddy. I can guarantee you that.
At all.
Yeah, and
George, it looks like it looks like the coach is just you're a right corner. Hartman is a right safety. Curtis is a left safety, and Healy is a left corner. Is that pretty much the way it is?
Yeah.
Yeah, you guys didn't flip strong side, weak side. It's left, right, and you got two good safeties that'll come up and tackle. George, talk about Curtis and Hartman.
Well, Hartman's nickname was Stick. And not because he was just a frail little man either, but he would come up and just knock your lights out. Curtis, just so smart and disciplined. I mean, at one point, and he may still be, I haven't checked the books, but he was the all-time interception leader for Michigan football. But we would tell him, hey, nobody wanted to throw on the outside to Healy or to my side, so they try and throw down the middle. We just forced the quarterback to throw down the middle, and TC would just sit back there, and he could see the quarterback's motion, and he would break on the ball. He could just have so many picks, and he did. But yeah, Hartman was he had an attitude. He played with an attitude. And I don't know if it was because he came from Ann Arbor and he wanted to have a role to play, but he would knock your lights out too. I like that secondary.
Yeah, he was also a hockey player. He lettered in hockey 2 or 3 times. Yeah.
Good point.
You know that the Carr kid who's a freshman now, that's Curtis is his grandfather.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
All right, George, you got 2 guys deep. I'll tell you, I'm watching this game. It doesn't look like they want to punt the football. I watched a lot of your games this year. I don't see many people really wanting to punt the football to Michigan. Does number 12 have something to do with that?
Well, I mean, there were a couple of coaches who basically said, we're not going to kick to that guy. I don't know why not. I mean, I'm just another player on the field, so give me a chance, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, there were teams that just said, yeah, we're not going to kick to him. And so I didn't have all the numbers, but I just enjoyed. I think I was on the punt team, punt return team, kickoff return team, kickoff team. Just play the game.
Hey, Danny, you coached a long time, and I did too. And, the first formation you put in the first day of practice, and the first play you put in is kind of like you telling your team, hey, this is an important play, and I see this play. You guys run a hell of a lot of it. This isolation play, and then you got this guy 48 here, he ain't afraid to block people.
No, Garvey was a tough guy. He was a character too, but no, I think the I formation was the first formation that we put in. I know when I coached in high school, it was the I formation, and we ran the isolation, and then we ran the off tackle, get the double team with the fullback kicking out, and then we could run play action off of that. Yeah, the I formation came in really big from USC out on the West Coast. That's where it really came from.
Okay. Well, here you are reading it, and you're pitching it. This is a good pitch. Reading that in.
Square shoulders up, dude. There we go. See what happens when I pitch the ball, George?
A true option.
I tell you, yeah, you see a lot of crack blocks. You know, it's amazing how much chop blocking was going on at that time.
Oh yeah, hey, run that back and show Garvey. Garvey absolutely destroys this guy on the perimeter.
Yeah, you're right. I see that here. Right here. Look, watch this block here.
Come on, get some. Come on. He picked him up right off his feet.
Did you guys have tearaway jerseys, George? Is Johnson's jersey tearing up here?
Yeah, they ripped the shit out of that jersey. Yeah. I don't know why. We probably didn't have a second jersey because it cost $25.
I don't know if I'm looking at Johnny Manziel out here. Look at 22 out here.
No, there's no Johnny Manziel in this guy.
That's good wheels.
I like to play. I always like to play, and I like to run the ball. I like to initiate the contact. RJ's gonna whip one out here. Oh shit!
Don't do that, Ron.
Yeah, you guys try to get cute here.
Yeah. I don't know who called that play.
Okay, let me ask you, who called plays?
Well, I think it was a combination of guys up in the press box. Hank Fondy, George Manns, I think they kind of duplicated that. And we had a real sophisticated signal system. Bump used his tie.
Really? Hey,
yeah.
Denny, is this you knocking him out of bounds here?
I don't know.
I think it is. Is this you right here?
I don't know.
Yeah, I think that's you there. Okay, so you think it was a combination? It was kind of like the hardball Schembechler, or he had what did Jim call it? A collaboration. That was the hardball term.
Well, when I was there, the guy in the press box was always Jerry Hanlon, and I can remember because I stood pretty close to Bo a lot of the times. I can remember him hollering it. Are you sure, Jerry? God damn it. Are you sure? And I think the other coaches could, add stuff. Chuck Stobart, had Bo's ear a lot during the game, and he was on the sidelines, but, it was Jerry Hanlon and Bo, 99 times out of 100. And when it comes to, our guys, I think it was kind of the same, but there was a couple guys, in the press box, and they would relay it down to Bump, and Bump would do his thing with me. Run that back. Take a look at Stensig taking this shiver on this guy. Watch him right here.
Boom! Wow. Well, your D-line, these Spartans are big. These guys are getting down low. They're making piles down here, man. Because they're getting knocked out initially, and then they started. I think Coach made a little adjustment. We got to get lower.
Could be. Yeah, I mean, our defense was really, really, really good. Yeah, I think there was 103,000 at that game.
I saw, guys, that this was the biggest crowd you played in front of. There was the place was sold out, 100,000.
Yeah. We I think 75,000 might have been more of the attendance when we played. Down through our senior year and our junior year.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think that's a Pisa right there.
All right. So anyway, let me get back to the count. Okay. So you guys had mandatory right after the house, because look, when I played, we played the bowl game, and Bo gave us a week off, and then it was straight to winter conditioning. Weight room 3 days a week, running maybe 3-4 days a week. And spring ball was 20 practices, and then you had maybe a week off in the summer, and then summer conditioning. You literally didn't have more than 2 weeks off. What was the calendar for you guys after the Ohio State game?
Go ahead, George.
Well, for me, I'm running track. So I shift gears and I go from football uniform to a track uniform.
Right.
And we had, of course, indoor track season, outdoor track season. And of course, the track coaches were saying, I know you have this football obligation and you got the weightlifting program, but don't bulk up too much, because we still
don't get too tight, George. Don't get too tight.
Right. We just want you to keep your speed. So, I mean, I remember I think it was my senior year also, where during the off season, I'm running track. And even when the spring game came, we had a track meet on the same day at Yules Field, Ferry Field. And I run my events, and then I go in and change clothes, and I get over to the stadium at halftime and play the second half. So it was that kind of a situation for me.
Yeah, I can't honestly remember what the time frame was from the last game until we started, but yeah, we were in the weight room and we were doing our agility drills, and we went right on up into spring ball, and I'm not even sure if we had 20 practices. I think we may have been as many practices as we wanted. I don't remember putting a capper on it. I honestly don't.
All right. So, but anyway, the winter conditioning part was mandatory. Coaches ran the lifting and running.
Absolutely. Okay. Yeah.
And then you get into spring ball, and then that was what it was. Did you guys you had summer conditioning the same way?
No. We did what we wanted to do in the summer. There was nothing like when Bo came in and guys would be there in the summer, and we had Gittleson was there, and Jed Hughes was there, and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, it changed tremendously. We had a hell of a time getting a strength coach, Jim. I mean, we had to beg, borrow, and steal on that, and we found Gittleson on campus. He was working for his master's degree, but
kidding! Is that how Bo found him?
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what happened. Paul Shadell and I went out to Nebraska, and we wanted to get one of their guys because they were turning weight coaches like crazy. Boyd Epley. I don't know if you know that name.
Oh yeah, he was the first one.
So Paul and I went back and gave our report to the old man, and he said, "Well, why would we want to take one of his guys? Let's hire him." So he flies Boyd in, and Boyd has no intention of leaving Nebraska. And so what we wound up doing was getting him like a $15,000, $20,000 raise. And then all of a sudden in walks Mike Gittleson. And Paul and I, Shadell, interviewed him. And you were there when Mike was there.
Oh, yeah.
Mike had on Levi's with no belt. He had on a T-shirt and sandals. And he had a notebook in his hand. And so we told Bo we wanted him to interview him. And then we called Gittleson and said, Bo wants to meet with you. And Shadell and I were saying, dress up a little bit, maybe wear a real pair of shoes or something like that. Well, when he comes in, Paul and I are waiting for him. And he walks in, he looked exactly like he did when he interviewed with us. He had sandals, Levi's, and a T-shirt. And so Paul and I are going, oh my God. So anyway, Bo didn't hire him. What Bo told him was, if I like you, I'll hire you. So I think he started without any money.
Yeah. Mike was great. He was a veteran. I know Bo liked that he was a veteran.
Yeah.
But yeah, he was a great strength coach, and there's you guys know the strength coach has such a role in building a unity of the team, because he's
and he was an innovator. I mean, he was doing things that people were coming to see him to see what he was doing, and he had a hell of a long run, man. I mean,
here's George making a play coming up.
All right.
Yeah, you know what I did as a coach, Coach Brown, you might understand, I had guys that were, if I had a left-handed kid, I might do the same thing, George, because sometimes left-handed players are better tacklers with their left shoulder. You know what I mean? So I used to do that, put maybe a left-handed kid as my right corner because you don't want him missing tackles, if that makes any sense to you.
That's interesting. That's interesting.
Anyway, they're putting the drive. They got big dudes, man. They got you can see they've recruited. Duffy went out and got some, these are big guys, man. Good running backs. All right, how about game week? So you play a game on Saturday, and did you have a commitment on Sunday?
Oh yeah, we looked at the film as a team, and we had a meal, and we met. I think our senior year, it was out by one of the junior high schools there on Stadium Boulevard. You remember the name of the place?
Oh, it's escaping me now, but I can see it right on the corner in that little triangle.
Yeah. We didn't, Jim, when I tell you we didn't have any facilities, we didn't have any facilities.
Yeah.
When you went to the locker room on game day on Saturday, you had a seat, and above the seat you had a nail, and that's what you put your clothes on. Wow. And if you think I'm bullshitting you, I'm not. It was like, you got to be kidding me. Seriously.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was amazing.
Here's Curtis making a tackle. Okay, so you guys would look at film. You would start on a scouting report, and Monday you would come in, and so you had no days off. It's 7 days a week during the season.
Basically, we didn't have Friday night was the night at the hotel, and then Saturday night we were getting ready to come back in on Sunday. But yeah, there was no limitation of hours. There was none of that stuff.
Yeah, and you would always have a film of the opponent?
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I always have film. Yeah, I remember when I first started coaching for Bo, if I went to watch a game prior to our game the next week, we had an actual physical film exchange at that time.
Yeah, that's right. They'd send the GAs to do that, wasn't he?
Oh God, stories I can tell you. Oh my God, I got hours.
Hey, what was a Bump Elliott pregame speech like before a game like this? What would he say?
Go ahead, George.
Fumble the ball here. They're putting something together and they fumble. What was it like, George? A Bump Elliott pregame speech?
I don't remember so much Bump's pregame speech. I remember position coaches' speeches who just, again, just reemphasize just being disciplined. You play with an attitude. You don't think about mistakes. You line up for the next play, and you give it your all every time you're over the ball. And then we go out and going through the warm-up drills by groups. It was the same thing. Just pay attention to detail and give it your all. Detail, detail, detail.
How about this guy here, Cecil Pryor?
Yes, sir, Mr. Pryor.
In Corpus Christi, Texas.
Yeah. He was a disruptor, that young man.
Yeah. In many respects. One thing I remember about Cecil, too, we were down in Illinois. Illinois decided they were going to punt the ball to us on 4th down. I got the ball. I'm thinking I'm taking it back all the way. And next thing I know, folks are just sort of standing around looking. And I'm thinking, what's the deal? Why aren't we celebrating? Didn't I take it to the house? Well, no, Cecil knocked this guy out of bounds. Hit him in the back. And Cecil, that wasn't even in the play, man. But Cecil loved to hit people. Oh, my goodness.
He's about 6'5"?
Oh, yeah. Every bit of that. Yeah. Yeah, and he had a wicked forearm. He was tough, man. He was tough.
Yeah.
Hey, look at this, Coach Brown. Everybody talks about the spread offense now. Here's 3-1 in 1968. 3 receivers here, 1 guy back here, 1 back.
God, I hope you guys worked against that, George.
I'm still looking for someone to go deep on my side or Brian's side. And they're having none of it.
Hey, George, you guys were zone defense predominantly?
Predominantly.
Yeah, it looks like that's the kind of I don't see you doing a lot of slanting up front. It's let's just run a base defense and be good at it. That pretty much was the philosophy.
Yeah, I think they were a two-gap front. And, Jim, just to tell you, there was no such thing as too deep. There was no such thing as a strong roll or a weak roll. There was no such thing as what we used to call a strong roll, where we would have the safety over the top of the corner and the strong safety, and we'd drop the backside backer and have the other corner on the hash. Yeah, we our passing offense was three deep, maybe man coverage, but you didn't have to worry about disguise. You didn't have to worry about a too deep shell. You didn't have to worry about any of that. It was just, this is the way they played it back then, and it evolved and evolved to the better. It evolved to the better. I've been to many a high school coach game, and I can't believe what some of these high school coaches are doing. Golly, nits. These kids are very well coached, and these coaches are on top of stuff, boy.
Yeah, you'll see. You go to a high school game, you'll see Woody Hayes straight tee. You'll see I-backs. You'll see, all kind. How about Jim Betts? He gets in the game here. George, did he come in as a quarterback?
That's he came in where you see him lined up. He was a quarterback and tried to get back in the quarterback role. But Betts was quite the athlete too.
Yeah, because he ended up being a real good defensive player.
Yep.
Yeah, he did, and he was a hell of a quarterback. Yeah. I'm telling you. Matter of fact, Jim and his wife and Dana and I, we got together about 3 weeks ago, and Jim and I talk a lot, and he could have been the starting quarterback at Michigan in a heartbeat, friggin' heartbeat, and he was such a talented guy and a team guy. He was a running back. He was a wide receiver. He was the backup quarterback for Moorhead. He went in against Iowa and just socked them down there. Here's this guy. He's 6'5". He's 220 pounds. He can run, and he's tougher than shit. And he winds up playing safety and had a chance to go to the NFL and had an accident when he was student teaching, and that was it.
Yep. And that, I see Jimmy probably every time I go back to Ann Arbor, and, he would, like you said, then he was student teaching, and he was in the pool, and it was the last day of student teaching. And the kids were saying, Mr. Betts, we're going to throw you in the pool. And so they pick him up and they're going to throw him into the pool just as a celebration. And one of the kids grabbed onto his whistle that was around his neck on that elastic cinch. And when they threw him into the water, they let the cinch go, let the whistle go, hit him in the eye, and just affected his vision. So when he reported to camp for the Jets, he was just not the full player that he was known to be.
Yeah.
And it was over at that point.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. So go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to ask you, George, when you came in on Monday, someone's going to stand up in front of the defense and lead. Who's the guy that's leading the defense? What coach?
Oh, who was the coach?
James.
Don James was the one who was just the impact coach. And he was the one who was talking about what the defense had done or did not do. The man was so astute when it comes to football, as obviously his career would tell you that, as he went on to Washington and did a whole bunch of damage out there.
Yeah.
But just a mastermind at the game of college football. But
I remember him on scouting reports. He would say, well, this guy here, I'll use your name. Well, this is George Hoey. He's a running back, and he's got a bad right leg. Let's make sure we don't tackle that leg now.
No kid. All right. So, but as far as George, when you guys came to the sideline, because I had McCartney, he's the defensive coordinator. Moeller, he's the defensive coordinator. You know what I mean? It's like there's one guy that is taking charge, and I guess it was Don James then, huh?
He was a take charge guy. Everybody knew that he was just the astute one, and he was going to tell you just the ins and outs and the small details that were going to help make a difference.
Okay, here's Goss making a play. 65, he uses his hands well. A lot of chop blocking back then.
Yeah.
See him come off there and make that play.
Yep.
Yeah,
And,
nice job, Tommy. Nice
Yeah.
job. Well, it's I'm glad I'm seeing this defensive film. I'm really impressed with it, or how our guys are playing.
Oh, smart. I see guys you keep the ball inside the defense, you contain the quarterback, no big plays. That's how we were coached.
Yeah. People keeping their shoulders square, moving their feet.
Yeah. That's good football.
Is that 70 in the game now? Is that Mark?
I don't think it's Marty Huff. I think that's
No.
90. I think that's I think that's
you guys
Stinson.
you did not rotate many guys at all, man.
No.
Nope.
Here's Ed Moore making another play.
And you know what? Eddie was not a big guy. I don't think he weighed 210 pounds. I would be surprised.
I was going to put him at 197. But,
there you go. There you go. He was not a big guy.
You can't block like this now in college football. Watch how they try to chop him. You cannot block like this anymore. It's illegal. But he uses his hands. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, you good outside backer play. You guys are up. Let's let Denny run a little bit.
Oh, did you throw an interception, Dennis? Holy shit.
I know you don't want to see it, Coach, but we'll just a little.
Got to take the good with the bad.
Yeah. Anyway, sudden change. Here's back from the Spartans.
Yeah, let's hope we don't get a score here. Let's hope
this quarterback was pretty athletic too. Did you know any guys on that team, Denny?
Well, yeah. Yeah, several of the guys, because at this time we're seniors, and a lot of us were recruited and took recruiting trips, and even were at Michigan and Michigan State together. Because back then you could take as many trips as you wanted to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you know some guys, George?
Only a couple
from high school or Flint, or.
Yeah, there were only a couple from Flint, but not a whole lot otherwise. When I looked at Michigan State, I just glossed over, just wanted to take them out. Yeah. Oh yeah, good sack.
I think that's the.
That number 11 is that Charlie Wiedemeyer. He's out of Hawaii. Number 11.
Yeah, I know Duffy Winter because I worked with Apiza's brother, the one that was the running back there. I know they had a little pipeline into Hawaii there.
Hawaii,
yeah,
yep.
Hawaii and Texas. Duffy had all of those clinics that he used to run, and he met a lot of high school coaches and recruited their kids. I completed one.
Yeah. Hey, Manich didn't drop too many balls, huh, Denny?
No. If you got it around Jim, he was going to catch it. I think that was that option route that we were running.
He's on that Super Bowl team, right? Wasn't he?
Yeah, he was on that Super Bowl team. Jim didn't have wheels. He wasn't a fast runner.
No.
But, he could shake and bake and get open and could catch him. He had great hands. His nickname was Puppy Man.
Is there a story behind that?
Yeah, he was.
Can't tell it?
Oh yeah, he was stopped at the light at Packard and State Street, and the light turned green, and he was petting a dog, and George Manns just happened to be walking across the street, and George yelled at him and said, "God damn it, what are you doing?" And he walked over and he was petting this dog. So George nicknamed him Puppy Man.
Oh, okay.
Oh God.
Hey, let me. What would you guys say? And that you had a culture on this football team of guys that really fought and cared for each other.
Go ahead, George.
I think that's safe to say. Yeah. I mean, the camaraderie just had no boundaries. And again, whether you're on offense, whether you're on defense, whether you're black, whether you're white, whether you're short, whether you're tall, whether you're skinny, we just melded just like a group. And I think we all respected one another. We supported one another. That was just good harmony on that team.
Yeah, this is a really good play at the point of attack here.
Yeah, you got two guys playing good technique here, Coach. You could see early on these guys were standing up, getting knocked out, but they're playing low. Goss and Pryor taking on the blocks, playing low.
Yep.
No movement.
Right.
Nice job. Nice job there. Yeah. 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 I think we were a team that wanted to win. And I think collectively, we had a lot of respect for guys on our respective offenses or defenses, and for the other guys on the defense, and the defense for the offense. And it was we wanted to win, man. We wanted to win, and look out, little extracurricular there.
Yeah, I think they get a penalty there.
Seymour, be careful. But anyway,
I think they called that on them. They're moving it back.
Yeah, good. I get a big kick out of looking at the stances, and I get a big kick out of some of the things I see, obviously the chop blocks and that sort of thing, and guys having to use their hands to keep them off their legs. And
all right, so Denny and George, like when you guys were freshmen, you basically, what I'm getting is that for the most part, the old guys were kind of respectful toward the young guys when you guys were freshmen, and when you were a senior, there was because let me tell you, there's a few guys that I played with that weren't overly friendly to freshmen.
Well, we had those guys too. I mean, the guy that was my nemesis was a guy by the name of Seeger. He was a rotten. He took a cheap shot on me every chance he got. And years later, when I was on that M Club board, I met his brother, and I asked him if that was his brother, and he said, "Yeah." I said, "He was a fucking cheap shotter." He goes, "Yep, always was, always was." That was his brother. Said, "Always was. He was a cheap shot guy." Oh yeah, I mean, I'd be walking out to practice, and we'd be getting ready to do R&S, our warm up. And he'd come up behind me and he would smack me up beside the head, or he'd push me, try to knock me down. Oh, I don't know why. I don't know why.
I got to point this guy out because he hasn't really played. 94 is Miklos?
Jerry Miklos. Yeah.
Yeah, Miklos.
His nickname was the Fox.
All right, so at this time in college football, though, you could rotate anytime, anybody. There's no substitution rules like maybe when you guys were freshmen, right?
No, I don't think there were substitution rules even back then.
Okay.
But, Fox, I think he played a lot of football during the course of the year. He wound up going to a couple of camps in the NFL, and I just saw him like 2 years ago. He lives in the Adrian area here, or used to. But, his nickname was the Fox, and he was a big, strong guy.
You're trying to run some quarterback roll out here. Did all freshmen have to live at South Quad then for 1 year, 2 years? How was that at under Bump?
I think that was a scholarship freshman, yeah. But even players who were on the team who were walk-ons, some of them was live in West Quad, and that made up sort of the complement. It was South Quad, West Quad.
Right. I was in fourth floor Allen Rumsey. John Reynolds and I were over with Jimmy Benar and Dennis Sarosky over at West Quad.
Guys, I talked to a friend that knew guys that were coaching back at this time. These assistant coaches did these guys have to have other jobs outside of being assistant football coaches? Because that's kind of the narrative I got. Do you remember any of those guys having to have other jobs because it really, it's almost paid like a high school coach?
I was never aware of that, but that doesn't mean it didn't happen.
Yeah. Maybe it was in the early 60s. My friend told me in the early 60s that's kind of, these guys, they had to have other jobs. You couldn't make a living being an assistant football coach at that time.
Well, I know Dennis Fitzgerald he had 5 or 6 kids, and he wasn't making $10,000 a year. And when I went back and had a chance to interview at Dartmouth, George Manns told me, don't accept a job if they offer it to you until you come back and talk to me. So I took the job, and I came back and I told George, and he was kind of semi-pissed, and he said, well, what are they going to pay you? And my starting salary at Dartmouth as a freshman coach was like, I think 13.5 or something. I was making more money than George.
Wow.
Ooh.
Hey, Danny, you were telling me a story about Holloway, when he would bring the guys in at the golf course before the game or before. What was that story again?
Well, Bob Holloway was a very, very emotional guy, very much a Michigan guy. And Saturday mornings, he would take the defense, maybe just the forcing unit or maybe just the down guys, and they would take a walk, and he would get them out and he would talk to them about the game. He would give them some historical stuff because he played there. And those guys used to talk about some of the talks that Bob Holloway used to give them and how much it meant to them. So he would do that every home game, and he may have done it on the away games, but I wasn't made aware of that. But it was the golf course, and we stayed at the golf course, and we had those plush surroundings, and oh, I'm telling you, what a joke!
Hey, how many? Danny, you were telling me the travel squad was like 40 guys.
Yeah, that's about right.
Anyway, here's Seymour again. Now, did Seymour play in the NFL?
If he did, I'm not aware of it.
Okay, well, he's made some play. Anyway, what was the travel squad was like 40 guys, 44 guys? Do you remember?
Yeah, it was like, I know the golf course, 39 guys, they would sleep at the golf course on Friday night.
Wow.
Yeah, think about it.
Yeah, there's just, everything was based on Fritz Chrysler. That's the way Fritz did it. That's the way Benny did it. Benny passed it on to Bump, and that's the way Bump was going to do it. And they didn't spend any money. Canham would tell you. I went to him one time, and he said, "Do you realize how many people would like to work here?" And I told him, I said, "Yeah," until they found out how much you were going to pay him. But they didn't pay him. It was all about the University of Michigan and the prestige of that Block M. Benny Oosterbaan retired from Michigan because he refused to recruit. He said, if they don't want to come to Michigan, then I don't want them.
They fumbled the ball here, big turnover. No kidding. So that's, I can understand that they, it's coach for the Michigan hat and the prestige and pay you crumbs.
Yeah. But don't get me wrong. Canham turned out to be a really, really generous, nice guy. I got to know him, when I worked there and, during several other things, but he did things that nobody knew about, helping people in the community and but he still didn't pay you. I mean, he just, you're working at Michigan, Brown. You think you're lucky stars.
Hey, George, look at this. This is all coaching, right? This is George Johnson here. A little pitch out. He just makes the guy miss.
Oops. Good downfield block.
You got the sideline, brother.
So he was your a one-man captain. And was it voted by the players or the coaches? You guys remember?
Wow. How do we
voted,
do that,
George?
Danny?
Remember? We voted at the end of spring. We voted at the end of spring football, and Mandich was the last guy to be the single captain. And Bo said, "We aren't picking the captain after spring football, and we aren't having one captain. We're going to have at least two." So then to me, it got watered down. But when Bo came in, there were some things that he did that were not very welcomed by some of the former players. But when he started winning, that all kind of went away. obviously winning changes a lot of things. But anyway, he did it his way. It worked. Everybody loves him. I love him. I just came across a letter that I wrote to him after my wife passed away and what he did for us. And he'd rip your ass 1 minute and then he'd be hugging you the next.
Yeah. Hey, I didn't cut. I think I hit all the linemen except for It's Calderazzo, right?
Yep.
Dick Calderazzo.
Okay, he's not a real tall guy, but he's blocking guys. He's leading out here on this little boot pass. What about him, Denny?
Well, Chicago Catholic League, tough as hell. He lined up next to Deerdorf, I think our senior year for the most of the time, and it looked like kind of Mutt and Jeff, He wasn't very big. Maybe he may have been 225. But tougher than shit.
Block.
You can't play big time Division I football in a defensive line, offensive line position and not be tough. You can't.
That's right. I believe this is Moorhead, the holder. He's your backup, Denny?
Yes, he was. Great
and
kid.
He ended up, having a good career. And then Killian, I think this is Killian, the kicker, right?
Timmy Killian out of Lincoln Park High School.
Yep.
Any thoughts on those guys, George?
Not for me. I mean, when I think of Moorhead, I think just a solid guy with a good arm, good knowledge of the game. Killian, hey, I'll do what you ask me to do, but you look at the style of kicking back in those days and it's straight ahead, and you don't see the soccer style kicker coming in until later. But he was true to the dime. He could get it done for you. Yeah, you could always count on him.
Again, I'm just looking at technique here. You got Henry Hill. Look how low he is there, coach, in his stance.
Yeah. He looks like he's on the goal line there, doesn't he?
It's like guys are getting tired of getting run, getting knocked out.
Yeah.
And that's a play there, jamming it all up. Anyway, you guys are up, close game.
Mandich is going to grab one here in a minute. Are we in the fourth quarter yet?
Yeah, Denny, some of these plays are cut out, though, man. A lot of the touchdowns are cut out.
Oh.
So I don't know if it's there, but I think we'll see.
Yeah. Mandich made a hell of a catch that put us ahead. And
how about the chow, guys? You had a good training table.
In those days, you had a meal, okay? Whether it was good, bad, or indifferent, you were happy to have a meal. I mean, I'm still talking to one of my other roommates, Marty Washington, and we talked about locker rooms and we talked about the food. And if we had a training table meal, then that meant you didn't have to provide any kind of meal at your apartment. So you'd take it.
Oh, it's amazing. I don't know. When's the last time, George, you went to Ann Arbor's parking lot? When we were there, you had beat up, junkers, man. Guys, you see the tow truck there every now and then. You go there now, man, there's Escalades. You got all kinds of big rides there now. It's a different world, man.
That's that NIL money, brother.
That's right.
There you go.
And here's Goss making another play with Hoey. What's George doing here? Coming up, tackling. Goss ran him down.
Thank you, Tom.
Stinsick, and it's Hartman, right? 26?
Stick, yeah. Yep. Stick Hartman.
Yeah, these guys ain't afraid to come up and tackle.
No, not at all.
Great job.
Hey, so George, you had a couple years with Don James, and when you saw his success, you were not surprised by that.
No, not at all. I mean, he had, I want to say charisma, but that doesn't really fit Don James. But he's just a scholar of the game. And he just passed that on. I think when he was identifying as a head coach, assistant coaches who would come in and be with him, be a part of his program, he was going to find someone who was of that same ilk. And that's, I think, what led to his future successes. But like I said, I don't think there's any other one coach who had that kind of impact on me and what would be my career, my future in football. I pointed back to Don James.
Yeah. Yeah, he was very much a scholar of the game, particularly defense. I know when he became a head coach out at Washington, he basically was the special teams coach. And but he looked at the offensive film and he looked at the defensive film. And those guys said that on Sunday night he would be in his office for hours looking at film all by himself. And they had the utmost respect for him, and we played him in the Rose Bowl a couple of times.
Yeah, I lost to them 2 years in a row. We went down there in '84 and lost, and then they came to Ann Arbor '83 went out there and lost, and then '84 they came and beat us. But look at how they were. You could do this back then, guys. You could just be a receiver and just chop a guy.
Yeah, a little crack back is going to hurt somebody.
Yeah. I'm glad, some of these rules, I'm glad. I know a lot of people, they don't care about the players so much, but I'm glad some of those rules are enforced now. You can't do that.
Right.
Hey, did you have any guys that played two ways on this team?
No.
All one-way players?
Yeah, I can't remember.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, I can't remember. I would say no. We didn't have anybody that went both ways. Looks like we're missing a lot of field goals here, people.
Yeah, So we're in the fourth quarter. You guys both have M rings.
You
right,
betcha.
George?
Yeah.
George, you got an M ring, right?
Yep.
You betcha.
What does that mean to you, George?
Oh man. I mean, I remember first getting it and I just salivated over it. I mean, that was like the culmination. That was the sort of the phoenix. You get that and you just look at it, you stare at it and just sort of polish it and shine it and make sure it's going to just reflect everything that you put into getting it. That's special. That's special. And when I see sometimes now, some players, I mean, I didn't misplace mine, but to know that even if someone were to misplace it, lose it, or have it stolen, whatever the case may be, that it's possible to have it duplicated and still get to the player so that you can treasure it, forever. And it won't be the same, but it'll be that M ring. It stands for a lot.
Danny, how about your M ring? What's it mean?
Well, that's to me, it's history. That's something that when you are given that, it sets you apart. And I'll be honest with you, I didn't start wearing mine till about 6 months ago. True story. I didn't want to mess it up. I didn't want to. I didn't want to ruin it or anything. And here I am, 79 years old almost. I started wearing it about, seriously, 6-7 months ago. And it was in my jewelry box, and I had a bag over it, and it looks exactly like it did when they gave it to us. That Block M is still out there, and that gold is shining, and I wear it only when we have a special occasion. But yeah, to me, it's just, if you see somebody out that's got an M ring on, hey, that's special, man.
Yeah.
You earned that. You earned that. And I only have one rub. And that's, we had a letter award system that was archaic. And we had guys that busted their ass on scout team. We had guys that were at every practice and gave their guts for it and everything. And they got an M ring if they stayed for 4 years, but they didn't, if they didn't letter, they didn't get a letter jacket. And that's one of the things that Bo changed, which was a good thing because the scout team guys were going to be rewarded. And I believe they should be.
Yeah.
But, again, as a former player, you got guys walking around there with 4 stripe or whatever. I mean, 4 years and all that, and that bothers me, even though their contribution was significant to get everybody ready to play. And I'm sincere when I say that. But Yeah, I don't even know what you had to do to let her at Michigan, to be honest with you. But supposedly it was a minute thing. You had to play so many minutes. And, I found my sophomore year, I tried everything I could to get on the field. I was the up back on the punt team. I held for extra point and field goals. I would have done anything. And, evidently I didn't get enough minutes. So I was bitter. But I'm not that bitter old man anymore, Jim. And
No,
George.
you know what it is for me, guys. I only break it out if there's something in my life that is maybe a presentation or something I got to do. It's kind of like Superman putting his cape on.
I got you.
You know what I mean? You guys totally understand that what goes into getting that M ring. So yeah, I don't wear it all the time, but when I break that thing out, boy, there's something that I need some backup.
Yeah. I mean, it is just so special when I wear it, and I just
look at it. Hang on, Coach. We got to tune in for a second.
I think this is Mandich coming across, and I don't think I think it's cut out.
No, we got you throwing a dime here, man.
Yeah, there it is.
Oh yeah.
Well, did Bump want to? He looks like the quarterbacks he recruited. He's not recruiting guys that can't run. Am I right?
Well, maybe. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, Timberlake wasn't a guy that did a lot of running. Wally Gabler wasn't a guy that did a lot of running, but the game progressed, beyond those guys. You can see with the speed option and that sort of thing. And, there's the puppy man coming across. Yeah, it was pretty typical. Find Mandich and throw him the ball.
That's a good throw. You avoid the rush, and almost had him. Pretty loud in there.
Oh yeah.
Hey, they didn't have coming out of the tunnel. They didn't have the M Club banner. Did they have it at that time or no?
No.
Nope.
Yeah, that came out years later.
Yeah, and you know who did that? Al Renfrew's wife, Marge.
Oh, the banner that we hit the banner.
Yeah, she did the banner. Yeah. I don't think there's a lot of people that know that. The only reason I know it is because I know the daughter, Judy.
Anyway, you guys are up. We're in the fourth quarter. You're trying to get them stopped.
I think that touchdown to Mandich, that may have been the last score.
Yeah.
I can't recall. I know we had a hell of a time in the locker room after that. It was a loud locker room.
Okay, so you guys, you guys got a hell of a team. You're 8-1 going into the Buckeyes, right?
Oh God, yeah.
Yeah, you are playing for the Big Ten championship.
Yeah.
And
hey, Jim, we had a touchdown called back in that game in the first half.
Yeah, I looked at the film, man. You guys played them real close early on.
And then in that second half, the bottom fell out, and I don't even know why.
Yeah.
You make a good point. I don't either. But it did. You're so right about that.
Well, your defense is hanging on here. Goss making a play. Woody was running straight T. Everybody else in the Big Ten, I looked at a lot of teams. A lot of guys are running this stuff and, receivers. And Woody's running straight T still. You know what I mean? Did he?
Yeah. He was running the old 20 series back then.
Yeah, he's running straight T. Everybody else is trying to reinvent the wheel. And Woody's running, straight T.
Yeah. Well, his philosophy is if you throw it, it's not good.
Yeah. Anyway, you're trying to run the clock. We got a couple more plays, a couple more minutes. You're pushing them out of here. This is Mandich. This is left side, Eldorado.
That was RJ. He was running off tackle there. Yeah, I think we're getting some movement at the point of attack. I think we got some Spartans kind of standing up.
Yeah.
I don't know what they were doing. That 1-5 technique, I think, out here, he just stood up and said, punish me. But anyway,
Yeah, a few more and we'll get through this thing.
I forgot all about that fancy shifting that we did, George.
Well, yeah, it's like, okay, Coach,
Look at
what does this mean? This means one thing. Michigan runs this, plays from I-backs, and then they do this. And now, obviously, maybe it does, they do something else.
Yeah. No, you still got your lead back stuff. You can see Garvey hitting it up in there.
But you also run it, you also run it with him leading too, so it's not predictable.
Yeah, yeah. And then this guy.
Yep. That's what he does for you.
Run the clock out. So you guys have a memory of the locker room after the game, huh?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Here's another block by 40. Look at him.
48, Garvey Craw.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, he knocked him back a little bit there. Did Killian make this one? Yes, he did.
He made it. Yep.
Yay, Timmy. Timmy's no longer with us. I'm sorry.
Danny, let me ask you, because you know better than I do. I don't think Bo wanted to give a scholarship to a kicker until later on. Was Killian would Bump give a scholarship to a kicker?
Yeah, Timmy also was a linebacker.
Okay.
Yeah.
He wasn't just a kicker. I say Timmy. Tim was a linebacker and a kicker, and he used to, that square toe that he used to use. I'm trying to remember who the first soccer style kicker that Bo brought in, but usually he would bring them in and they'd have to earn it. We didn't necessarily recruit a kicker and give him a grant.
Okay, I think this is Seymour picking this off. Is this Seymour or Healy? I think it's Seymour. Okay, so
yep,
he would have been on scholarship, and because I think I think Ali Hodges Sheik might have been the first one Bo gave a scholarship.
There you go. You could be right.
I played with him, and Don Bracken was a punter.
Oh, yeah. Boy, that was a kicking game you had there, boy.
Yeah, because, it all started with that 79 game where Bo had 2 punts blocked. I think that's what I heard. That's the story I heard.
Huh.
That he said, I got to work on this. And then after that, Bo coached the punt team. When I was playing, Bo was like, we did our little warm-up, and then, man, Bo was coaching the punt team.
Yeah, he used to walk around with that yardstick.
Yeah, that was his thing, man. And
they'd line up, and he'd walk over and make sure they had the splits. If they didn't, he'd hit him on the ass with that yardstick. And I was coaching the punters at that time. John Anderson was the punter. And,
well, there you go, man. A great win. And what's Ann Arbor like? What's Ann Arbor like after a Michigan victory in 1968 against the Spartans?
Oh man, I mean, it's like being in New Orleans in February. It's a blast. Yeah.
Good time.
All right. So, okay. So you guys, Coach Brown, I talked about you, the influence, you were coaching at Michigan for many years. And then you go with Don Nalen out to West Virginia and you coached a guy named Rich Rodriguez. You want to talk about that for a second?
Well, yeah, it would only be a second. But anyway, yeah, Rich Rod was a safety, and Rich was a very, very quiet guy. I remember specifically in spring ball, I said to the secondary coach, does he know the checks? Because I've never heard him say anything. And I can't remember Bill's last name, unfortunately. And Billy said, yeah, he knows the checks. Yeah, he knows it. So anyway, we had to do a spring evaluation, and the last thing on the evaluation we had was, would you bring him back in the fall? And so I wrote on there, yes, absolutely, bring him back in the fall. So when Rich got that job at Michigan, I sent that evaluation to him. I said, read this to your coaches. But yeah, he started out in that little small school there in West Virginia and developed that offense and really worked. He loves football. And, but I couldn't get over the change that I saw and remember from the time that we coached him to when I saw him as the coach at Michigan. He was unrecognizable. I mean, just where did this guy come from?
Hey, George, so you were at Michigan for many years, and then you go out to Colorado with Coach Mack brought you out there. Is that how you ended up out there? But I got to say this, I was at Michigan 5 years, and you're around a lot of great coaches that went on. I mean, Lloyd was an assistant. He did great things. Coach Mo was an assistant. I had 1 year with Coach Mack, and when people ask me, I say, Coach Mack, he was a brilliant leader. And I could, someone says, okay, you throw some guy out to some school that ain't never won, who's going to build it? Bill McCartney would have been a guy that I would have said, that's a guy that can do it. Talk about real quick, some of the things you did after Michigan, if you want, or Colorado and Coach Mack.
Well, I mean, when I graduated Michigan and went to the league, I mean, I was there for 6 years. And I think because of a lot of the things that I experienced in the NFL, I just, I felt as if I wanted to come back. And as I said before, I thought when I was in Michigan, when I was getting my degree, that I was going to, teach and coach in Flint. And when I got out of the league, I just thought, is there a way that I can give back, to Michigan athletics? And Jim Betts at the time was he'd started up an academic support program. And Jim and I stayed in touch. I was in the undergraduate admissions office, and I was talking to all the recruits coming to Michigan about getting in through the front door. And met with Jim one day, and Jim said, George, I think I need to get out of here, man. I need to make some money. They're not paying me. So I want to go into business. And I said, you know what? I'd be interested in doing some work with the student athletes. And he says, well, why don't I set up a meeting with Don Canham, Schembechler, you and me? And, 3 days later, the meeting comes along, and Canham was my track coach, of course, too, while I was at Michigan, so I knew him. And so we had the meeting, and we ended up shaking hands, and I'm walking out the door, and Canham looks at me, and he says, hey, Hoey. And I said, yeah, coach. He says, you got the job, but don't screw it up. And that's the last thing he said. So, I mean, I went in and ran the academic support program, built it up. And I think one of the things, it was primarily for football and men's basketball initially. And I just grew it. And because, I mean, the track coaches, the gymnastics coaches, I mean, I knew all these folks, and I thought, you can't just have an academic support program just for football and basketball, men's basketball. So I opened it up and just built it up and just made it one that was going to support all student athletes in all sports. And, did some compliance work too. We had an investigation into the baseball program, and I had to sort of orchestrate that through the Big Ten and the NCAA. And it got to a point where my welcome it didn't seem to be appreciated as much as I had hoped or wanted it to. And opportunity came to go to Colorado, and Mack was out there, Coach Mack. And I think when I talked to Bill Maroth, the athletic director, he just said, hey, come on out. I got some folks who are vouching for you. I understand you bring a lot of good things, and we want them here. And I go out and I work in athletics and run the academic support program for Colorado for 6 years. And then I jump into student affairs, and instead of just serving student athletes, I'm serving the whole student population. So that brought me some really good feelings and some gratitude. I retired from student affairs out to Colorado in 2018 and still call it my home. So I'm
There
out
you
here.
go.
Yep.
Well,
There you
Woody used to say to Coach Mo, we have an obligation to pay it forward. And Coach Mo used to say that to us. You got to pay it forward. Hey, look, Danny, I know people want to know, what was it like working and coaching under Schembechler?
Best boss I ever had, Jim, and I'll tell you why. If he told you to do something, he never put a date on it. He would always tell you, just have it ready when I want it. And he never interfered. He gave you a task, or you knew what your task was. That used to drive Don Nealon crazy. Don spent more time in my office than he did in his own. because he could not get used to that mentality because, he had been a head coach at Bowling Green for years, the youngest one in NC2A history at 28. And I remember him coming to spring ball. But anyway, make a long story short, he was just the best. I can't tell you anything else. I mean, I never had anybody like him. I never had anybody that, he had nobody that could match him. Nobody. He was the absolute best. And, he reamed me out on a number of occasions, but he did it for my own good and because I probably screwed up. But anyway, I just can't say enough good things about him and his wife, Millie. And best boss I ever had.
You decided who played out your position group. Is that how it was with all the position coaches? They decided who played, not the head coach.
That's correct.
Yeah. I did the same thing when I became a high school head football coach. I'm like, that's what the old man did. You coach them all week. I'm not going to decide. You decide. You're going to lose authority. George, you answered the canon, but obviously Schembechler was in the mix. What was your experience working for him?
Well, Bo and I had conversations about academic support, counseling, and he says, I did that at Miami. And I said, no, I didn't. Are you trying to tell me something here? But the conversations that we would have about the ball players, it was all very candid. And it was straightforward to the point where if something wasn't working right and Bo needed to sort of intercede or interject, he would do it. And it was all, hey, Hoey, you still can do this, and you still can do that. I know what I can do, but I would have some players coming to me and Bo just ripped me, and I didn't know, I didn't get a word in edgewise. Could you help me think of something to go back to him and tell him? And I would say, okay, gather your thoughts. Bo's going to be Bo, and he's going to say what he's going to say. But if you want to get a word that you want to convey to him, why don't you think about it this way? And I would give some kind of approach like that. But Bo was, like Denny's saying, just genuine. What you see is what you get. And he was straightforward, no matter if it was about social issues, about relationships, or you name it. He was going to give it to you straight, and you could take it to the bank.
Yeah, I remember my freshman year, we're playing Notre Dame. They're number one in the country. We had just lost to Wisconsin. We were the number one team the week before. Anyway, he's fired up, and we're playing Notre Dame, and we're not moving the ball very well. And he's yelling at our offensive line, God, I'm going to fire you. They better block. I'm firing you. Coach Brown, how many times were you fired?
I was never fired, but I was there when he fired Hanlon about 50 times.
That's what I mean.
And you know how Jerry would penalize him because Jerry did the offensive practice schedule. And Jerry would hold that offensive practice schedule to the very, very last minute. And he might not even get it out to Bo until Bo got out on the field for practice. Yeah, Jerry would get back at him, but he never really fired me. Not really. He never fired me, but he fired Hanlon on a regular basis. That was the running joke.
All right, I got one more. What goes through your mind? Can you guys see that good? Can you see that picture?
Yeah. Yep.
Denny, I'm going to let you go first. What goes through your mind when you see your teammates?
Well, it's a great group, and I have that picture in our bunk room here, and I see it all the time when the grandkids come and everything, and I look at it, and I just think about what we did, what we went through, and the great people, the relationships that I still have with a number of them. I look at it also and see so many of them are no longer with us. And that doesn't haunt me, but it just makes you realize that, it's fleeting. It's a fleeting thing. But the guy, as I'm looking at RJ, those three guys in the middle, they don't get any better than those three.
Yeah.
No better.
George, what are your thoughts when you see your teammates?
And the phrase that comes to mind for me is there's so many unsung heroes in there. Um, I mean, we've talked about what it means to be a freshman football player back in the day and sort of to evolve and you go through to your senior class. But there's so many of those teammates that not necessarily made sacrifices, but I mean, they gave their blood and guts every day, just like the rest of us. And
Yep.
even though they may have never started, may have never gotten X number of minutes, to qualify for a letter or anything like that, they still gave. And when I look at that picture, I mean, go down the rows and I know every one of them. There's always a relationship or a memory that I have about each one of them. And I just think, yeah, there are a lot of unsung heroes in there. And just was fortunate to be a part of that group.
Hey, guys, we're going to wrap it up here. Denny, I'm going to let you go first because we're going to close it up and just let you give any last comment, any last thought, Michigan football, 1968, whatever the heck you want to finish up on. This is our last comment.
I'm going to finish up strong here, Jim.
Go ahead. And you, as long as you want, man.
After the 68 game, I wrote a couple of notes, and it was and I completely forgot about it. So this is strictly off of what was in my book. And here's what I said. All right. I put 68 season at home. We won the Michigan State game. These assholes. I hate Michigan State.
That's it.
That's
beautiful.
I'm done.
George, go ahead. What's your final comment about doing this? And you guys spoke well you guys represented 68 with class, man. I just want to tell you that.
Well, I don't know with my last statement. I don't know how classy that was, but
but it's honest, and that's what I think is a good thing. Oh, but I mean, when I said earlier that when I thought about the pipeline from Flint to colleges as football players or as athletes, and how it was just so Michigan State oriented, I just still walk away and just think about having bragging rights until I just go into that casket or go into the grave, man. That game, that's a big game in many respects. And anytime I go back to Flint and folks are talking about what used to be, I can talk about that game and I can still hold my head up high and I don't blink. I just, we took them and I'm proud to say that. And it just feels good. It's just, to me, representative of Michigan football. There's so many, great teams that go through the decades, through the years. But when it comes down to a single game like that one in 68, that's special. And I don't think about it often. I don't take my M-ring out that often. It's still in the box that it came in. I just rub it from time to time. But, yeah, against Michigan State, that's sweet.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Jim.
Yeah. Thanks, Jim.
Denny,
thanks, Doug. Appreciate you guys reaching down into the bowels of Michigan football to grab us.
Well, hey, man, we've had our reunions and man, there's a special thing here. We care about each other. We care about the guys that came before us. We care about the guys we played with and we care about the guys that come after us. And that's real. I think it's how we were coached and it's Michigan. And, my final comment is I respect the hell out of both of you. I think you guys did a great job representing your team. And, we're going to sign out. It's over and out, and it's Go Blue.
Go Blue, brother. Blue.
If you like this kind of content, please like, share, follow, and subscribe. And as always, Go Blue.